Okay, Bacho. Today we are going to start the next topic after your meets, after your the holidays actually, and this is going to be probably the last topic of your digestive system. And in this lecture, we are going to study the spleen and the structure of liver. The previous lecture that I was not able to take it was the biliary system. I have a recorded lecture for that. I will send you that lecture, and after viewing it, you can have a question answer session in tomorrow's class as well. So the link for that lecture will be sent to you after the class. Let's start with today's lecture. Okay, now the liver, which liver is the largest organ, visceral organ of the body after obviously the skin. The skin is the largest organ in terms of weight, and liver is the second largest. And when we are talking about the visceral organs, those organs which are present inside your body, then liver is actually the largest organ. Now it is the largest gland, and it is an extramural digestive gland. Extramural means those glands or those structures that are present outside, you can say, the alimentary canal. And examples of those glands are the salivary glands, liver, pancreas. These are all extramural glands. Now it is situated between the vessels which are draining the intestines and the general circulation. So the vessels, these are closely linked with it, and there is another system which is termed as hepatoportal system. I think you will go through it in the theory lectures, but if not, please do tell me, and we will take it on in the upcoming lectures. It is the system through which the blood coming from the intestines, it is first filtered inside the liver, and then from the liver it is poured into directly into the portal vena cava, from where it goes to heart and then to circulation. Now the major functions of the liver, it is the detoxification of drugs and toxins, formation and secretion of bile, metabolism of carbohydrates and fats, plasma protein production. Among these plasma protein function, the most important one and the most abundant one is the albumin. Then there is urea formation, the conversion of nitrogenous base into urea. Then there is an activation of polypeptide hormones, reduction and conjugation of adrenal and gonadal steroid hormones. So this reduction and conjugation, this is essential for the, you can say, proper processing of these steroidal hormones. So that's why liver also plays a role in controlling the overall reproductive activity of the individual. Now the liver is present inside the abdominal cavity, and it is attached to the diaphragm. So when we enter the abdominal cavity from thoracic cavity, the first structure that you will encounter is the liver, and with the liver there is present the stomach. Stomach and the first, okay. So the caudate process encloses the cranial pole of the right kidney in the dorsal abdomen. So it is attaching the liver, they attaching with the diaphragm, with the stomach, and with the kidney as well. So the part of the liver that is attached with the kidney, right kidney, is termed as the caudate process or caudate lobe. The stomach and the first part of the descending duodenum lie against the liver's visceral surface. So liver, it is quite large in structure, and its orientation in the body is in such a way that it attaches with many different organs at many different places. Uh, so the three landmarks that you can use to locate and orient a liver is the portal vena cava. What is the location of portal vena cava? What is the location of porta, and what is renal impression? We will go through the porta, what is porta in a bit. The caudal vena cava, it runs through the dorsal portion of the liver. So you can locate the dorsal portion of the liver when viewing it outside the body through the presence of this caudal vena cava. So the side of the liver which will have caudal vena cava is the dorsal side of the liver or the dorsal surface of the liver. Then the porta. Now the porta is actually the opening through which all the neurovascular, you can say, vessels are entering inside the liver. So if you look at here, this is the location where all the hepatic vein is entering here, okay, artery will be present here. So this point, it is termed as hepatic porta. Let me check if I have another diagram of it. So here you can see this rounded structure where artery, vein, and here you can see the cystic duct that is coming out, this one. So this structure or this area, it is termed as hepatic portal or the porta of liver. It will contain the common bile duct, the hepatic artery, and the hepatic portal vein. So this area is the hepatic porta or the porta hepatis. And here you can see the caudal vena cava, which is running through this notch which is present in the liver. Okay. The renal impression, when you have to look at the right side of the liver, you can see for the renal impression, because the renal impression is the right kidney is in contact with the liver, so the right lobe of the liver will have the caudate process. And then the diaphragmatic surface, it is a relatively convex surface which is attaching with the diaphragm. So here you can see this entire surface, it is actually the diaphragmatic surface, where you can see that is relatively convex in nature. Okay, so this is the diaphragmatic surface, and when you see from the ventral, from the visceral surface, this location will have the hepatic port. Okay, then there is visual surface. It is in contact with the abdominal viscera, which contains the right kidney, the stomach, duodenum, colon, and jejunum, giving their impressions on the liver. So on the liver, just like that, on the lungs that we read about earlier, there are many impressions of different organs and vessels that are present here. So these all impressions can be observed on the liver as well. Then there are different lobes and processes of liver. Okay, any question till this point? Any question till this point, please? Okay. Proceeding to the lobes and processes of liver, there are different lobes of the liver present. There are 4 basic lobes which are present, and then there are 2 processes. Now, first lobe is the left lobe, then there is right lobe, then there is quadrate lobe, and then there is caudate lobe. So there is a difference of spelling here. One is caudate and other one is quadrate. So the left lobe, as the name indicates, it is present on the left side, on the left side of the median plane. Then there is right lobe, which is present on the right side. Then there is quadrate lobe, which is present ventral to the porta of liver. So the location from where all the vessels are emerging, it is present beneath that porta. And then there is caudate lobe, which is present dorsal to that porta. Then there are 2 processes, the papillary process and the caudate process. So papillary process is the part of the caudate lobe. Both these processes, these are part of this caudate lobe. First thing. For the papillary process, it is the part of caudate lobe which is left to the median plane. While the caudate process, it is the relatively most caudal region of the liver. So the part which is present most caudally, when you look at the orientation of the liver, it is the caudate process of the caudate lobe. So this caudate process will also have the renal impression because the right kidney is attaching with this process. Okay, here you can see this one, this is the visceral surface of the liver, and here you can see the porta. This one, this area, it is termed as, you can see this point 2, it is the porta of liver because all the vessels are emerging, all the vessels and nerves etc. are emerging from this point. That's why it is termed as porta of liver. This is the caudalmost part, and this is having the renal impression, the impression of the kidney. This is the caudate process of the caudate lobe. Ventral to the porta, you can see this quadrate lobe, while dorsal to the porta is present the caudate lobe. Now please remember that right and left lobes may be divided into further two parts, right lateral and left lateral. Similarly, right medial and left medial lobes. So here you can see this is the right lobe. This entire structure is the right lobe. Out of this entire structure, this is the right medial lobe, while this one is the right lateral lobe. Above it is the caudate lobe, and here you can see the caudate process. As you go further below, here you can see the caudate lobe and the gallbladder as well, which is present in case of dogs. Then there is left lobe. Here you can see the left lateral lobe, which is present at this location. Now please remember the right lateral lobe, the left medial lobe is not visible from the, you can say, the visual surface. You will have to search for it on the diaphragmatic surface. So here you can see this one is the right medial lobe, and this larger one is the, left medial lobe, and this larger one is the left lateral lobe. This left medial lobe is somewhat overlapping on the left lateral lobe. That's why it is not visible from the visual surface, but it is visible from the diaphragmatic surface here. Okay, any question till this point? We proceed towards the species differences, the salient species differences that are present in the liver. In the carnivores, the left and right lobes are divided into medial and lateral lobes. As we just saw, that the right one has two parts and the left one also has two parts. Similarly, the caudate lobe is also divided into caudate process and papillary process. In case of horses, it somewhat resembles the carnivores, the dogs, but there is one major difference. The first one is that the right lobe is undivided, so the right lobe will have only one part, while the left will have two parts, one lateral and one medial. Similarly, the papillary process is missing in case of horses. So the caudate lobe will have only one process, which is the caudate process. Then there are ruminants. The first major difference that you will see in ruminants is that the liver of the ruminants does not extend to the left part of the body, because on the left part the rumen is present and is covering the entire left part of the body, the abdominal cavity. That's why it is somewhat pushed towards the median. So the ruminants, in ruminants, right and left lobes are not divided into medial and lateral ones. So the right and left lobes will have only one part each. Okay, and it will have the caudate process as well, where you can see the renal impression of it. Let's move forward. Here you can see this is the liver of horse. Now the orientation of the liver, in case of horses, it is present obliquely. And another major species difference in case of horse is that it does not have gallbladder. Both dogs and ruminants have gallbladders, but the gallbladder is absent in case of horses. And the liver of horse is much larger as compared to dogs or ruminants. So, any question till this point? जो कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं है? Okay. Now, if we look at the liver of the horse, I told you that there is only one right lobe. So here you can see the right lobe has only one part, while the left lobe has two parts. One is lateral and the other one is medial. Then there is a quadrate lobe present here. You can see this. And in terms of here, you can see the caudate process. This one, which is giving attachment to the kidney, right kidney also. Now, the liver, it is attached with a number of different ligaments which are holding this liver in place. Most of these ligaments are present in all the species. Some may be reduced or absent in one or more species, but generally speaking, most of the ligaments are present across the board. So, starting with the first one, Bache, let's see. This C part, this ligament that is present here, it is the right triangular ligament, and this E is the, so this is the right triangular ligament, and here you can see the left triangular ligament. Let me check for a diagram whether these are present in a much better way. Okay, so here it is. So here is the liver. Now there are different ligaments that are present here. The first one is the left triangular ligament, which is present right here. You can see this left triangular ligament, this greenish part. Okay. Then there is coronary ligament. This entire structure is the coronary. This pinkish structure, it is the coronary ligament. So it is quite extensive. When you talk about its length, it is quite extensive. Then there is right triangular ligament, which is present right here. Then there is a ligament which is crossing the body of the liver like this. This is termed as the falciform ligament. So this is the falciform ligament. Now there are other ligaments also present here, like round ligament, etc. So we will go through these one by one. Let's see here. Here you can see between, this is the part of the ligament that is crossing the body of the liver. This is the falciform ligament. Okay, so this is falciform ligament. Then there is left triangular ligament, which is attached with the left lobe. There is a right triangular ligament present right here, which is attached with the right lobe. Then there is a coronary ligament also present here. So this was the structure that I demonstrated you right here as well. So let's compare it in case of horses. Here you can see the falciform ligament. It does not extend the entire body of the liver, but it has somewhat the same location. Then there is left triangular ligament, the right triangular ligament, and the coronary ligament present right here. So the coronary ligament, it is much more extensive in case of ruminants. There is another ligament present here, the first one right here, which is the hepatorenal ligament, which is attaching the kidneys with the liver. Then there is lesser omentum also present here, this B part. This is the lesser omentum, which is attaching the liver with the stomach as well. So if we look at the attachments of the liver, there is a fibrous capsule present around the liver, which is very strong, and it is made up of mainly collagenous ligaments. The first ligament is the coronary ligament of the liver, which is the reflection of peritoneum from the diaphragmatic surface onto the diaphragm. So reflection means that the ligament will attach here and then it will return to attach with the diaphragm. So the ligament will come from the diaphragm, it will give attachment here and then return to attach with the diaphragm. So this is the meaning of reflection here. It forms a circular area of reflection because the corona literally means the corona, not corona that we are suffering from. The corona means crown. So crown is relatively rounded in structure. That's why it is termed as coronary ligament of the liver. It is attaching the liver with the diaphragm. And there is right triangular ligament, which is attaching the liver with the right crus of diaphragm. I will show you the crus of the diaphragm if I have some diagrams right here. I don't think I have a diagram of the coronary ligament. Sorry, the crus of the diaphragm. Sorry. So the crus of the diaphragm, basically when the diaphragm is attaching with the vertebral column. It is attaching with the help of two tendon-like structures, which are termed as crus of the diaphragm. The part of or the side of the crus which is present on the right side of the body is termed as the right crus of diaphragm, and that which is present on the left is termed as left crus of the diaphragm. So I will show you a diagram in the next lecture probably. Then there is left triangular ligament, which is attaching the left lateral lobe to the left crus and the tendinous center of the diaphragm. The falciform ligament, it connects the ventral liver to the sternal part of the diaphragm. So here you can see this is the falciform ligament, this is the dorsal side. Here this is falciform, it will come down. Here the sternum is present, so it will attach it with the sternum. And there is round ligament of the liver. It is contained in the free border of the falciform ligament. So the falciform ligament will have another band-like structure present within its broad sheet-like structure. This band-like structure is termed as round ligament of the liver. It is not visible here. I will check if I have any diagram of this structure. Then there is lesser omentum, which is extending from the porta of the liver, and it is attaching with the lesser curvature of the stomach. The lesser omentum, it can be further divided into hepatoduodenal and gastrohepatic parts. The hepatoduodenal is the one which is attaching the liver with the duodenum, while the gastrohepatic is the one which is attaching the liver with the stomach. So it can be divided into those two parts. Okay, now this is a very good diagram to remember in which species which lobes and processes are absent. So it would be beneficial if you remember or try to basically image this diagram in your memory, because it will become very helpful if you are asked to write a comparative note on the liver, or to basically use this diagram or use this image for your multiple choice or objective type questions. Any question till this point? Okay, so the next part of our today's lecture is the spleen. It is a very simple organ. It has only very few parts. So here you can see the difference between the structure of spleen. In case of ox, it is relatively flattened, spatula-like, while in case of horses, it is sickle cell-like. Sickle means आप लोगों ने कभी यूज की हो, दांतरी यूज की हो, या कभी देखी हो जैसे गंदम काटी जाती है, उसे हम सिकल कहते हैं. तो ऐसी कोई भी चीज जो कि relatively curved हो, तो यहाँ पे you can see that this spleen of the horse, it is relatively curved. There are few ligaments present here. Here you can see the splenic artery and splenic vein that are visible here. Then you can see the phrenico-splenic ligament, this one, which is attaching the liver with the diaphragm. Now please remember that Phrenio words, it stands for the diaphragm or sheet-like structure. So the phrenic artery, phrenic ligament, these will all mean that those ligamented arteries which are somehow related with the diaphragm. So the phrenico-splenic ligament is the ligament which is attaching the spleen with the diaphragm. Then there is gastrosplenic ligament, which is attaching or joining the stomach with the spleen. So these are the major structures of the spleen. There are two surfaces present in case of spleen. One is termed as the visceral surface, and the other one is the parietal surface. The part of, in this case, this one will be the visceral surface. It is attaching the spleen with the stomach, and this is the parietal surface. Similarly here, you can see this one is the visceral surface, and the opposite direction will be the parietal surface. Another point to remember here is that the hilus is usually located towards or on the visceral surface. So in this case, you can see this is the hilus. Hilus means the opening through which artery and vessels are entering inside a visceral organ. So in this case, this is the hilus. Similarly, you can see another hilus which is present here. So these are the hilus or the openings. This was all about the spleen. Now the spleen, it is mainly involved in the filtration of the blood. It is a part of the the lymphoid structure. It is the largest lymphoid organ in the body. It is relatively flat, elongated structure interposed in the bloodstream next to the left abdominal wall. So in the fetus, it also produces red blood cells, but in case of adults, it usually stores the red blood cells. So it is also termed as the graveyard of RBCs. The old RBCs that have gotten, you know that the typical lifespan of an RBC is almost 3 months, 120 days in case of human beings. So after 120 days, these RBCs, they are sent to the spleen where they are stored, and in case of emergency, these can be brought back for use in the bloodstream. Okay. It also produces lymphocytes. So because it is a lymphoid organ, so it also produces lymphocytes, stores them, and also it destroys the old RBCs to make space for the new ones. In hilus, it is the area where vessels and enters or nerves enter the spleen. It is a long groove in case of carnivores, horse and pig, and a small indentation in case of humanoids. So here you can see it is a relatively longer groove in case of horses, but a small indentation in case of humans. So this was today's lecture. If you have any questions regarding today's lecture, please go ahead and ask. If you don't have any questions, please mark down your attendance and then you are leave to class. Thank you.